Hello, welcome to Musher's Tales. So there's nothing like making a video and then all of a sudden you start editing the video and you realize that the whole intro and the first part just didn't tape for whatever reason. So that's what I'm filling in now. So what I'm doing is I'm smoking trout. I'm going to smoke trout in alders. The first step is to soak your trout in salt water. So I took half a cup of kosher salt in a bowl of water and I added my trout. Not very many trout. I think I have about eight trout or 7 trout. Not particularly big either. And you're going to soak it for at least 2 hours, a little bit longer. In order to get the salt to dissolve, you boil some water. Boil half your water to fill your bowl in water. You pour the salt in, dissolve your salt, pour that into the bowl. Then you fill up the rest of the bowl with cold water, as cold as you can get the cold water, and a tray of ice cubes, to which you add your fish, and then you soak your trout in there, as I said, for at least 2 hours. The reason for the hot water is to dissolve the salt. The reason for the ice and the cold water is if you put the trout in warm water or hot water, they get very, very slimy. So it's to avoid that. In a few hours, you should be feeling the trout flesh being firm, and then you're ready to start the smoking. So I'll add this to the video, and hopefully the rest makes sense. The secret to your fish not being too slimy: once you have your salt water, put an equal amount of cold water, and then some ice cubes, and then you put your fish on top of the ice cubes before they soak. I used half a cup of salt. Fish has to soak for a couple hours in the salt water. So I'm out in the backyard and I'm going to get some alders. A few flies out. The goal of the alders is to make smoke. You don't want them to burn. So you want them just to smoke like crazy. So not a bad spot here. We'll cut a few. I got a youth trapping basket here, a small basket. If I fill that up halfway, I'll have all kinds. So I smoke with alders, and not that I do a lot of smoking though, but when I do, I smoke with alders. That's a recipe off a friend of mine in the Beauce region of Quebec, and he got it from a native. Basically salt and alders. I believe it's Wendake. I don't think it's Quebec. I think it's Wendake that he got the recipe from. But anyways, I've smoked duck with it, and I smoked a lot of ribs with it, and I smoked chicken with it, and smoked fish with it, and it's good. It's good, it's simple, and it's delicious. It's Monday morning, a lot of traffic. All those poor bastards going to work. I feel for you. Gonna heat it up. I haven't used it in a bit, so heat it up good and hot and get rid of all the nasties. Added the alder, You see it's smoking. You know it's going to smoke. It's going to get hot. You don't want too much air in there. Have a little water bottle. If I see a flame later on, gets dry, a couple of squirts, and one more step or two, and trout are cooking. I add some water. You're supposed to put the water in that pot, but that pot's got holes in it. So I add some water, put a rack on top, layer of trout, another rack on top, layer of trout, close the door, and just forget about it for a while. Ready for some trout. It's important that you rinse the fish, get some of the salt off, or else it'll be real salty. There we go. Put the lid on. Actually, when you put the lid on, if you put your lid in the dirt, watch out you don't put dirt all over your trout or it's going to crunch. And a disclaimer, I am no William Larkin from Big Land Trapper. He cooks and smokes a lot. I'm not like that. I'm not much of a cook, but this is going to be good.
And then the most important part, you sit and wait.
Coming along. So when you can peel it back like that, you know it's cooked. And these ones should be more cooked.
I must admit, my husband is not someone who spends too much time in the kitchen, but he did a really excellent job smoking this trout. It is delicious. Thank you, honey.